All right, we're back for episode 3 of the Stub Bro Show podcast.
This is episode 3.
Yeah, I'm excited. We got a lot of topics this week, or at least one topic, and a lot of things to cover. So,
yes, we do. And we got a giveaway.
We do have a giveaway. We have all the names that of people who played along last week with our contest, our monthly contest for a free snack pack giveaway.
Yes.
It's very exciting.
I'm excited. Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I love snacks. So we have that and a topic this week, a new topic. So we're excited about the topic as well. Should we tell them?
We should.
All right. The topic this week is, you tell them.
Oh, okay. So one of my favorite things. We've been doing a lot of movies lately.
Yeah.
So we're going to switch it up a little bit this week and do music from the greatest decade ever, and that's 90's music.
90's music, yeah. The
greatest
decade.
Music ever created came from the 90's.
Yes. That's something
At least that's my opinion.
Yes, we agree on that, you and I. I don't know that everyone will feel that way, but we do. So it's our show. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
how's your week been?
It's been good. A lot to do. We're trying to get ready. We have vacation coming up, so we're trying to get a lot of things in order for that. So,
you guys had an earthquake yesterday.
We did have an earthquake. And it's gotten so that I just don't even notice them. I heard Heidi screaming from the other room, earthquake. And then I was like, oh yeah, look at there, I'm shaking. So, yeah, we have them occasionally, about once a year since we've moved to California that we notice. We actually have them all the time. I think there's something like between 80 and 130 a day, but most of them are so small you don't really notice them.
Yeah, but that was a pretty big one though, huh?
Oh yeah, it was, well... At the center, ground zero of where it hit, it was a 3.3, I believe. Now we've had one locally since we've moved here that was that big. Woke us up about 2:30 in the morning, and the bed was shaking around the room like a poltergeist. But I
can't even imagine.
Well,
like when you were telling me about this, I was like, I don't even have a concept of what an earthquake is like. Like I have nothing to base like what like I can go through a hurricane and sleep. I can sleep through a hurricane because we have hurricanes so often, but when it comes to earthquake, I'm like I don't even have a concept of what it's like to be in an earthquake.
Well, Heidi said yesterday, and I think this is probably the best example of what it feels like. But if you're in suppose you're in a 4-wheel drive vehicle and you're driving over rocks about the size of a large grapefruit, that's what a 3.2 feels like.
Wow.
Now here it was significantly milder. Like my chair moved around in the office and she bounced around on the couch for a half second.
Yeah, but I've seen you, so I know that that's no small feat. So
no, it's the one that woke us up was like I said, a 3.2, and it happened like locally.
Wow.
Because we actually live on the San Andreas Fault. Like it's like 4 miles from where we live. Wow. So you wake up to that, and you would think your instinct would be like, go for the door, get out of because we're in a 2-story building and we're on the bottom floor. So you'd think the instinct would be get out of the building. But what usually happens is you realize that when the ground is bouncing that much, that if you get out of bed, you're going to be a pinball.
Oof.
So you really don't want to be running down the hall and bouncing your head off of coffee tables and whatever else you run into. So you kind of lay there and you're like, is this going to go? Where's this going? Where's this headed?
And just kind of go for the ride, huh?
Pretty much. I mean, there are people, and we know people out here who have gotten up and tried to run out of the building and wound up, bouncing all over the place. So it can be dangerous, to say the least.
That's crazy, man.
It is, and it's not only the physicality of what's happening. There's also the sound of what's happening. So it's like if you ever watch like an Indiana Jones movie and you hear big stones sliding across other big stones, like stone doors, that's what you hear. Whoa. So you hear stone rubbing against stone and vibration and the base of it, and you hear it happening, and you're like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden it just kind of fades out. So
wow,
it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun. That sounds.
Said no one ever. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't experience an earthquake this week, but I did experience something else that was pretty traumatic.
Well, do tell.
I had to go to Walmart, and so
I feel your pain, brother.
That's one of the things. I hate going to Walmart. I can't stand going to Walmart.
Yeah,
I have tried, and we found, my wife,
right.
she has discovered the online grocery pickup at Walmart, which is like one of the greatest things that's ever happened to our family.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
So all we have to do now is we sit at home, just like, Amazon. We do all our shopping like from our phone, pay for everything, and show up, and it's great. You pull up, they come out, they check your receipt or your code or whatever, and then they bring your groceries out and load them up for you, which is fantastic. But
right,
every now and then you have to go into Walmart, and I hate it. I have over the years I've hurt my back a little bit, and so I have a little bit of a bad back, and
right.
So what you do, what I've learned to do is I've learned to just do things differently. Yeah. And not try and pick things up, and I situate things so I don't have to bend all the way over down to the ground. And so I went to the Walmart self-checkout.
Right. I hate that.
We talked about this the other day. And but I went to
it's not my favorite.
I went to the Walmart self-checkout, and they have the thing where if you have large items, you can like do a little search and type it in. So I'm there, and I've done this before, but we just recently moved across town, so we're shopping at a new Walmart, and I type in water, and it's not in there. So this massive case of water is not in the computer.
All right.
And so now I'm faced with the choice: do I bend over and risk hurting my back to pick up this massive case of 40 bottles of water,
right,
and put it up on the thing and scan it, or what do I do? And so there's a little old lady that's working there, and I say, hey,
pick this up.
I'm asking her, I'm like, I can't find the thing. And she's like, oh yeah, water's not in there. You have to pick it up and scan it. And I'm like, I have a bad back, and I don't know. Things like that I can't stand. I hate Walmart. But you were telling me the other day that you don't tell me. Now explain to our listeners why you don't like the self-checkout.
Oh man, there's so many reasons. Like, I don't know. I think if I've got to do that work, I should get a discount on what I'm buying. And out here where we live in California, it's they really push it. I mean, they even have they typically have somebody working that station at all times in grocery stores everywhere. We have a Ralph's grocery store down from our house, and they're always pushing you to go into that line. And I have they don't even talk to me anymore because they know what's coming, because I typically have a standard line, and they'll say, would you like to use self-checkout? And my usual line is, it's funny, I checked the schedule. Turns out I'm not working tonight.
That's funny.
And, we walk on and, do regular checkout.
I know, man. There's a lot of people that I've seen, they hate that because they feel like, and there probably some truth to it, but they feel like, these automated things, one, Walmart's saving money by not having to pay extra cashiers, and it's putting people out of work. And so to that point, I say this, my philosophy is
right.
That's fine. I actually don't mind going and doing the self-checkout because in a lot of cases it's faster. And so for me, it's a trade up. But if you're worried about how much money Walmart's saving, you could just do what I do.
Right.
And I just bag every single item. I triple bag every single item. And so I've just determined, and if you guys listening, will do this as well. we'll stick it to Walmart and
they'll stop doing that.
We'll make them pay in Walmart bags.
Yes, think how many Walmart bags you have now.
Because who yeah, I mean, who doesn't need a Walmart bag?
Yeah, you can put anything in a Walmart bag.
You can put anything in a Walmart bag. You can use Walmart bags for anything.
That's true.
So we have about 3,000 of them in our kitchen at any given time. Yeah, mainly because I triple bag every single item. And so my wife, I come home with groceries and my wife is like, really? Did you do that again? I'm like, yes, I did.
Well, so, yeah, you know, my wife, when we first got married, she had, we went to storage. She had a storage unit from when she had moved to Florida from California the first time. And she had like 3 foot by 3 foot square U-Haul cardboard boxes. And they were packed with bags.
With everything Walmart bags?
Well, some, you know, and it was also like, you know, purses and like beach bags and like duffel bags, any kind of bag you could possibly think of. And
like luggage.
Pretty much. It was 3 large boxes of luggage. And so I told her, I was like, we got to have an agreement that, you know, new bags can come in, but old bags have to go out when they do. Like, we've got to swap bags. So
does she like sell them or something? Like
no. And she doesn't use them again, but she does hang on to them.
Because I know there's like some women that like sell like 31 or something, and so they've got like inventory. But
oh no, she has inventory. She just, you know, hangs on to her inventory. So she you know, and I used to tease her about it, and I kid you not though, like when we were in Tampa, we were at a few Rays games, and you know, we'd be in the middle of a game and I'd be like, man, what am I going to do with this? And she like just whips out like a magician, like whips out a bag. And and like, I was like, I'm going to stop complaining because my God, the woman has a bag anytime you need it. It just comes out of nowhere. Wow, there's a bag. It was great.
That's funny. And that's just the bags you can see, because all the bags that you can see have bags inside of them.
Oh, exactly.
I've seen this. I've literally seen this with my eyes. So you'll see like 50 bags. You're like, wow, you've got a lot of bags, and inside of each of those bags is three more bags.
Exactly. Well, lately she's been using like a beach bag, which is like 3 times the size of a regular large purse.
She uses that as a purse.
So I'll make comments like, "Oh, we're getting groceries too while we're out," and usually she's like, "Shut up." So it's like, you know, I tease her, but. It's been actually a blessing in disguise, because, I mean, out of the blue, like, bags just appear. Like,
right.
There they are.
That's awesome.
It's actually a good thing. I've learned. Yeah.
Well, I haven't bought luggage, I think, ever in my life, because...
All Walmart bags.
I use Walmart bags for everything. So if I go somewhere, people look at me, they're like, what are you, 14?
Say, well, like, you know,
I technically. Don't know. I just got Walmart bags to use. So...
Well...
I'm not the only one. I know there's people out there listening to me going, yep. And you know what? I store food in margarine containers as well.
That's right. There's nothing that you need to put that can't be put in a Walmart bag.
That's right. Walmart bags, you know,
I'm pretty
sure they're good for the environment.
Well, you know, the fact is, and you know, no one wants to talk about this, especially PETA, but the fact is there's actually an overabundance of sea turtles. So
right.
That's what I hear. I mean, I'm not an expert, but that's what I hear. So, yes.
They get those sea turtles out there in California.
And they
need to chill out, because I saw a video of a sea turtle that was snorting Coke or something because it had
a straw up his nose.
Had a straw stuck in his nose. I'm like, man, you need to lay off.
Yeah, they actually outlawed straws out here. Like, restaurants can't just give them to you. If you ask for them, they're allowed to provide them, but they can't just offer them out anymore. Anyone, even like fast food. Well, I think fast food places are the only ones that they're considered grandfathered in, because even their lids and stuff, they have to have a straw to drink them. So I think they're the only ones that can get away with it, but regular restaurants are not allowed to carry them. So typically I will say, I did this today. We had lunch at Cheesecake Factory, and I said, do you, can I get a straw? I really, really don't like sea turtles. And it took the girl a second. She chuckled and started laughing. And I said, she goes, just one? I said, no. I said, I need one per nostril. So she gave me 2. So
wow.
It was a fun experience.
That's kind of a jerk, but
hey, listen, the fact is, first of all, my personal belief is anybody who knows anything about physics and or has been around, plastic straws and turtles, the fact that anyone thinks, and maybe, there's an offshoot chance, sure, that turtle wound up with a straw up his nose, but it's a much higher probability that somebody either put it there for a photo op or some kid was screwing around and did it being a jerk. So,
it's possible.
There's been a lot of straws in the ocean for, just coming on 40, 50 years, and that's the first time I've seen that. So,
yeah,
I don't know. That's James's opinion. So
yeah, well, Walmart bags.
Walmart
bags are good for the environment. I'm just telling you, and I base that on absolutely no knowledge. So,
well,
but anyway,
there's some history with the Walmart bag, isn't there? With us,
I wrote a song about Walmart bags one time.
You did.
We'll eventually bring that to fruition here and let everybody hear that. But I just I'm proud of it because it is probably the catchiest song you've ever heard in your life, and when you hear it, it will get stuck in your head, and you will sing it for days and days and days. So
yes,
but it's not time for that. That will come.
That's true.
That will come in a few weeks.
Iron out the kinks, yeah.
And we'll do the Walmart bag song. So something for you guys to look forward to is the Walmart bag song.
Yeah, we have a lot of songs between us that'll work its way into the show long term.
That is true. Yes, we have quite a musical background together.
Yeah, we're a musical family. We're like the Partridge Family without the bus.
We're like the Partridge Family without a redheaded stepchild bass player. But actually, we're stepbrothers, so. But speaking of music,
yes,
like this segue here. Speaking of music,
moving into music of the 90s.
Music of the 90s. That's something we bonded over.
That is true.
When our parents got married in the 90s.
Absolutely. Of course, that
Pearl
was
Jam.
Like mid 90s. Absolutely, Pearl Jam. One of my favorite bands of the late 80s, early 90s. Actually, late 80s they were actually Mother Love Bone, and then their lead singer passed from an overdose, and Eddie Vedder from San Diego had sent a mixtape in, and the guys, Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament, kind of listened to it, liked it, called him out, and the rest is history. So
they're like, we just love the fact that you can't pronounce any words, and we just want you to be the lead singer of our band because
that's right.
You enunciate so horribly that I think it will be.
That was an interesting time for music. He got a lot of credit for sounding that way, but a lot of people sounded that way before him, as Mad TV pointed out over the years.
Oh yeah.
Ray Charles
about that video. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah. And then leading into Creed.
Oh yeah,
the greatest rock band of all time.
Shaun was a Creed fanatic. Yes,
I was a Creed fan. I admit it.
Oh yeah,
pretty big Creed fan. Looking back, they were really good. They were good. They were good musicians that had a good story, but they just self-destructed, I think.
Yeah.
But I still like even what they I like Alter Bridge. Which is basically Creed with a different lead singer. Yeah. And Scott Stapp's solo music has even been pretty good, so, Well, probably we'll see a Creed reunion at some point, but
Absolutely. But that just kind of touches on where we few of the bands that we enjoyed in the 90s. 90s was kind of the launch of grunge music. In the first part of that decade, thanks to a bunch of Seattle bands, including Nirvana Alice in Chains, and actually I believe it was the lead singer of Alice in Chains who coined the phrase grunge music.
Yeah, Lane Staley.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh yeah, STP. Yeah, he passed away actually. The lead singer, Scott Weiland, actually passed away out here right after we moved to California in 2015. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was kind of a blow.
Yeah, Scott Weiland passed away, and then I remember in 2001, Lane Staley passed away, the lead singer of Alice in Chains.
Yeah, that was a drug overdose also.
Yeah. A lot of these guys,
I have a lot of memories of, hanging out as a teenager at a buddy's house and us listening to Rooster. So every time that plays, it brings back the early 90s for me.
Yeah, Rooster.
Oh yeah, the
Good
Dirt
song.
album.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this before we start getting real deep into the different bands and genres.
Right.
What is it about the 90s that do you think was so, because I have a theory about why I think the 90s was real huge and such a good time for music, but what do you think?
Well, the 90s, a lot of, from what I gathered from the 90s, having really remembered the 80s as well, was, the 90s was a darker time. It was, and darker times inspire phenomenal music, really good music. It wasn't that it was like, it wasn't like it was the 20s and 30s, the Depression era, but it was like, it was, when you come down off the 80s was like, for lack of a better definition, the decade of cocaine. Like everything was bright colored. Everybody was super happy and super motivated. And like, it was the Miami Vice decade. It was like, everybody was like, dressed to the nines, and like punk rock was really had really come into its own.
Yeah,
and it was super bright. Absolutely, you had the hair metal, and then just like every decade, it's like there is this dramatic paradigm shift of society, and it's like, okay, we're done with that. Now what's next? Oh, it's like the slump, and then the slump is where people get really creative, and that's my opinion. Again, not everyone's, but that's how I viewed the 90s. It was like this time where people could could focus more on things other than cocaine and hair. So
yeah, I think that's true, particularly of the rock genre.
Yeah.
What I kind of think, in my own experience, because I was just really coming into the age of even being like that age of being interested in music in the 90s. So I was born in the 80s. I was born in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And didn't really start getting into music till I was about 12 or 13. So, we're talking about 94. But for me, excuse me. But for me, MTV was a big part of that, because before that, you had the radio, and there was a lot of, things that MTV did in the 80s, but something about the 90s and the beginning of the 90s, MTV really began to ramp up music, and it was, a very eclectic style of eclectic mix of music.
Right.
So there was rap, there was rock, there was alternative, there was a lot of pop music, and just a lot of subgenres. And then, when I would come home from school every day, I would watch Total Request Live with Carson Daly, and essentially what that was is, it was, people were excited to come home and watch, and they would just basically tell you what was good and what isn't good. And you listened to MTV, and they were the authority, and, discovered a lot of music that way. And so I think that was, really a huge part of it. I think rap music and hip hop really took shape in the early 90s. You know, rap was there in the 80s, but it didn't really become what it was until, you know, Tupac and Biggie Smalls, those guys.
Well, that was like gangster rap. I mean, there was rap. You had Run DMC in the 80s. You had LL Cool J in the 80s. You had
they were the
Play and
the Godfathers.
Yes.
But then I think that when it came into begin to come into the mainstream more and more was in the 90s.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, there was it was, I don't know. I guess, and again, we're about a decade apart in age, so
that's true. Yeah.
I had a different view of the MTV of the 80s and 90s, and a lot of my generation kind of felt like MTV started to go downhill after 1989. But it was just that it was downhill from what we were used to. It wasn't that it was downhill. It was just like different.
Right.
And it was the onset of, the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things
it was
that actually weren't music.
Yeah. I mean, before the real world and all that, I mean, they had shows on there like, they had, they had various things, but nothing to the degree that they had once Real World took off, and they realized that they had a market outside of music videos.
Yeah.
And reality TV to a lot of my generation killed MTV.
Yeah,
because,
for sure.
In the mid '80s, you turned on MTV, and when it was on, of course, there wasn't really 24-hour TV like there is now. So CNN kind of set that in the 90s and created Ted Turner created the 24-hour news network. So then everybody started playing catch up. But when MTV was on, it was music videos or nothing. So
it was all music.
Right. So now after the 80s, it kind of that really began to change. That really began to morph into something else. So I just think it's a generational thing. Like
probably
again, it was for you what you needed it to be, and it started to alter from what we were used to it being about 1989.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, I discovered music through MTV. I mean, that was the only way. Yeah, and before that, I wasn't listening to much.
Yeah.
But it was when I started listening. And I that's when I learned how to play the guitar. It was in my freshman year of high school. I mean, I had a guitar, and I started listening to bands like Bush and Oasis. And learned how to play those real easy 4-chord songs. And it was tough for me because I was very insecure in high school. I was always the chubby.
We're having an earthquake right now. Hold on.
Are you serious?
Yep. Earthquake.
We are having an earthquake live on the podcast.
Let me go make sure she's okay. I'll be right back.
Oh my goodness. Right after talking about having an earthquake, they are having an earthquake. I can hear him talking to his wife. He said, we were just talking about having an earthquake on the podcast. That's funny. Yeah, well, it just goes to show that this show is done live and things happen that are unscripted, like earthquakes. And yeah. So this is exciting. I hope everything's okay.
All right, I'm back, Shaun. We had a little earthquake there.
Yeah, I was a little worried.
Apologize.
I was a little worried. So about 20 minutes you were gone, and I was like, well, I hope they're okay.
Yeah. Well, I had to leave my phone. It's connected to everything, so we ran outside, and all the neighbors are standing out there, and we waited till the light post stopped moving. You can't go by the palm trees because they move when the wind blows. But
yeah, right.
When the steel light post is making us figure 8 pattern, the earthquake's still happening.
Yeah, I was just waiting, and I pulled it up on my phone, a 7.1 earthquake, right in the middle, right in the middle of our podcast.
Oh yeah, can't beat that, man.
But glad you're okay.
Yeah, me too. It's always a little nerve wracking when everything in the room is moving, and you have to run for the door.
Wow.
So, okay, back at it. I forget where we were. I do apologize. I think we were in the middle of kind of talking about MTV and where we felt it went, and then you said that it was really what had introduced you to music in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we left off.
Yeah, well, I was just saying that, like, in high school I was pretty insecure. I was an insecure guy because I've always been overweight and was kind of the big guy. Yeah. And when I started playing guitar, that was a way for me to kind of come out of my shell, and ended up being pretty good at playing guitar and singing. And through doing that, I was able to interact socially. It was something I could hide behind. I could grab my guitar in a situation if I was around friends or went to a party and I didn't know people and people didn't know me. If I could get my hands on a guitar and start playing, that was just a great way to break the ice and get people to see past my physical appearance. And eventually I got to the point.
I mean, it's not like you're an ugly dude. I mean,
no, I'm not. But you know what it's like being in high school, and you're overweight and you get picked on, and you get picked on a lot, and you tend to, some people, and I was like this, you develop low self-esteem, and for me, through using music though, I was able to kind of overcome that, and then I got to the point where I no longer needed the guitar. I just was confident enough to be myself and laugh and joke.
Absolutely.
And so, but yeah, I mean, back in the 1996, 1997, around that time, I was playing the guitar and singing. 90s music was just great. There was so much good music. I would play Nirvana. I would play Pearl Jam. I would play Matchbox 20. I would play Oasis. I would play whatever was on. Third Eye Blind. Yeah, really. I mean, just able to just bust out some of those songs and start playing and singing, and which led to a band, which led to girlfriends, which led to a career in music, which led to a wife and kids. So
it worked out.
It worked out.
It all worked out.
Yeah.
I struggled my third year of 10th grade. It was, a lot of teasing. It's hard. It was hard.
Third year of your third time in the 10th grade? Is that what?
That's, yeah. It was difficult, a lot of, I would show up, the first of the year to get my class assignments, and they're like, no, you're over there with the 10th grade class again. Okay. Like, I'm supposed to be graduating this year, man.
Like, I'm 2 years older than the principal.
Oh man, it was bad.
Yeah. High school, man. What a time in the 90s. What a time to be alive.
Everyone thinks my picture in the yearbook, I'm the teacher. It's like, is that the teacher? No, it's not the teacher. Oh, yeah, man. Great music. I agree with you. Like, I had I've got a lot of music from the 90s. And I didn't really, I guess in my mind I knew, but until you really look at how many songs you have in your playlist from the 90s.
Right.
The early 90s I had all CDs, for those of you who knows what those are anymore. I had, everybody, I talked before about my friend that, Shaun knows him too, is pretty good friends with him. Bobby S, we'll call him. I don't have his permission to use his name, so I'm not going to go that way. But he used to call me Mr. Ubiquitous because of my playlist. Because I listen to everyone. Yeah. Like, if I like a song, I had everybody from Cannibal Corpse to 4 Non Blondes. So don't judge me. And
on top of that, you had good music. So
what? Yes. Yeah. Ned's Atomic Dustbin and, Dinosaur Jr., a lot of early 90s stuff. Counting Crows. I love them.
So I Married an Axe Murder soundtrack is something that we bonded over in the early days.
Oh yeah, great music.
Yep, and on the soundtrack included all of the poems that he did, or
Oh yeah, during the movie.
During the movie, yeah, pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
So that's a good one.
Yeah,
Spin Doctors.
Spin Doctors, man. Two Princes. That was a great song. It might have been there.
Did you ever see
they had
the movie?
two songs that did well. Yeah,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Did you ever see the movie was it Wanderlust? Did you ever see that?
Wanderlust.
Paul Rudd.
No, I didn't see that.
Oh man, okay. The only it was pretty dumb, but the funniest part of that whole movie is him and his, I think it's his wife or his girlfriend, I can't remember, but they're a couple, and they go to this like bohemian kind of like compound somewhere, and they're exploring things, and he's pretty not into that, but he's doing it for her, and there's a guy sitting down with a guitar, and he's like really good. And he's like, oh, yeah, I play the guitar. Or she's like, he plays the guitar. And they hand the guitar to him. And he's like, oh, you guys like Spin Doctors? And he plays Two Princes. really, really bad. Like, really terribly. And
man.
He starts playing Spin Doctors. And then, it's so funny. Then the other guy picks up the guitar. And he's like just this, like, shredder with an acoustic guitar. He, like, shreds it and just makes him look horrible. But...
I actually have a Spin Doctor story from this past week.
Do you really?
I was bringing Heidi home from the dentist, and the song came on, and she's like, "What do they say in the chorus?" And I was like, "It's remember him, remember me. I'm the one to love her, baby. Can't you see? I ain't got no future or family tree, but I know what a prince and lover ought to be." I said, "He says I know what a prince and lover ought to be," and she goes,
"A prison
That's
lover."
Not what a prison lover, no, a prince and lover. And I was like, she's like, I didn't think it said that at all. That didn't sound like at all what I thought it was. Yeah, so we were discussing that song earlier.
Yeah, what he says is, he says, marry him or marry me. I'm the one that loves you, baby, can't you see? That's what the whole song is about. It's about
right, marrying him.
Yeah, right. So yeah,
it was a good song.
Man, I love that song. And then what was the other song that they did? So they were like a 2-hit wonder. It was that one and Little Miss Can't Be Wrong. That's what it was.
Yeah, Little Miss Can't Be Wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Spin Doctors, man. It's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching, so this is kind of before the hipster look was in style, like maybe like late 2000s. And somebody was watching some old videos and they brought up the Spin Doctors and they're like, this guy looks homeless.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Now he would fit right in with the look because it's pretty in style to look homeless. So
absolutely, he had the V hat before it was popular. So he actually one of my other favorite things of the 90s, not necessarily music, was the comedy troupe, The State on MTV. I don't remember if you remember them.
I do remember The State. I didn't watch it a whole lot because...
Well, they actually redid that entire video, and it's almost unrecognizable from the original. I mean, they like nailed it, but
that's funny.
That made me think of that.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So maybe we could get into just a little bit of like more specifics. Like, what would you say was your favorite song from the 90s?
My favorite song?
If you had to pick one.
Well, that's easy. Black by Pearl Jam.
Black by Pearl Jam.
Yep.
I was expecting something funny like My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. I love that song, Black by Pearl Jam.
Well, the entire album, 10, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't listen to Pearl Jam anymore and haven't in 20 years just because, they've gotten so political. It's like, and just like they're such activists with everything. It's like I listen to them for the music. I don't listen to them for the activism, so it's kind of a waste on me. I will say that I did like Eddie Vedder actually did the soundtrack for the movie Into the Wild. He was one of the people who did a lot on the soundtrack for Into the Wild, and I loved what he did with that, and the movie, Adam Sandler's movie, Rain on Me.
Yep.
So I loved that album too, but yeah, that's about it.
That was that Rain on Me, isn't that a Peter Gabriel cover?
I think it's actually a Oh God, you, you know, I don't listen to my '70s music like I should.
I thought it was. I mean, I know it sounded like a joke, but I was being serious. I think it is a.
I don't know if it's Peter Gabriel. I think it was.
Looking it up now.
Yeah, you do that because I hit the space bar. I stopped recording, so you can pull it up.
Don't do that.
I think it was. It wasn't Peter Gabriel. It was Pete Townsend.
Pete Townsend. And, yeah, you're right. That's
and Who. Yeah, the Who actually released that to begin with. But right. Eddie Vedder's cover of it is spot on, and really good. So yeah, I mean, if you ask, my favorite song of the '90s would have been Black.
Say all that to say that my favorite song from the '90s.
Yes,
Footloose. So.
Yeah, it's a decade off, but yeah, we'll go with it.
Well, every podcast so far we've had a reference to Footloose, so I had to.
Sean's favorite song of the '90s was "Champagne Supernova" by Oasis.
Close. Very close, though.
Well, I actually that's in my top 10 of the '90s, so I'll give you that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to pin just one. I don't even know why I said that. I should have even said, what's your favorite song? Because there's just so many good ones.
There was.
Oh, man. What would be my favorite song of the 90s?
Yes. Do tell.
Let's think here. I would have to pick...
Shine.
By...
Yeah, Shine. By... Sorry, I'm getting tremors again. Need to see if I need to run out of the house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hold on. Making sure it was quickly, but it's probably just an aftershock.
Might be that chimichanga you had earlier.
I think we're okay. All right, so where were we at? What was
favorite song? My favorite song of the '90s.
Yeah, Collective Soul, their Shine song.
Shine song? By Collective Soul. Yes.
Right.
That's a good one.
That was your favorite song.
That's a good one.
Is.
That's close. My favorite
Wonderwall.
song, man. Yeah, it's like a tie between like Wonderwall and okay, and you're probably gonna laugh at this, but I would have to say my favorite song from the '90s is Bush, Glycerine.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Because that was the very first song I ever learned how to play on the guitar, and I taught myself. I listened to it, and I had my guitar. I kind of figured out, because it's four chords, repetitiously all, over and over and over. So I started playing it, and I was like, this sounds like it, and I was playing it, and somebody in the other room stuck their head in, and they're like, is that Glycerine by Bush? And I was like, yeah. So... great song. Not the best song, but my favorite.
Right.
Because of sentimental reasons, because I learned how to play the guitar.
Yeah, I didn't learn how to play the guitar. I play a number of songs that I taught myself over the years. I think the first one was "In Bloom" by Nirvana. The bass riff. It wasn't even the guitars.
Yeah.
It was the bass riff.
That's a great bass line.
It is.
That one and Nirvana had some good bass lines. That one and Lithium. That's another great bass line from Nirvana.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Boom 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 boom
Yep.
boom 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 boom. Yeah.
They had some really good songs. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were.
Okay, go ahead. No, I was gonna say favorite, and then that was it as far as I made it.
No, they, and again, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, weren't really started in the '90s, but they didn't really get a good footing until the '90s, so we'll include them.
No, but their music, they're considered '90s because that's when they're
right.
I'll tell you another favorite of mine. I don't know if you ever listened to this band or not, but it's a ridiculous song, but the song "Inside Out" by Eve 6. You know that song?
Yeah, I do know that song.
So I fell in love with that song the first time I heard it because I thought it was just so catchy, and
right.
I learned how to play that song, and I used to play it all the time. I would play it at school, and just nail it. I just nailed that song. I could play it on the acoustic guitar and play it and sing it. And what would happen is I would be like sitting in the hallway between classes, and I'd pull out my guitar and start playing it, and like literally there would be 25, 30 people standing around singing, and I just realized that the power and the influence of music, and you know, when you're decent at it, right? It just really. But man, it's a song like that is so good for that nostalgia and kind of and you know, everybody, you know, just. It's a ridiculous song. It's stupid and it's petty and it's very like teen, but but it's a good song.
Well, you know, we kind of touched on it earlier as far as people we've lost recently, but you know, Chris Cornell was a huge influence to me in the 90s with you know, Soundgarden, and I can't tell you the number of times I would bungee jump to Black Hole Sun. I mean, that was a you know, that album was like in my top 5, you know, 94, 95. That was it for me. You
know, we've lost quite a few singers like recently.
We have, man.
Chester Bennington, but I'm telling you what, like Chris Cornell, that one really affected me.
That hit home, yeah.
Because I mean, it's not like I got like overly emotional about it, but I was like, man, that guy, he was just so good. There was an interview, he had done like this little snippet, and people who watched MTV in the 90s might remember this, but MTV used to do these snippets with celebrities, and they would kind of talk about their selves, and it was nothing more than just being about music for MTV, and it really made an impression on me. But Chris Cornell, he talked about when he first started singing, he would sit in his bedroom and he would just scream until his voice would break. Like he would sing and scream until he hit the breaking point of his voice. And he said then the next day he would do the same thing, but then there would be a note there. And then he would do it again, and he would just sing and scream until his voice would break, but then the next day there would be a note there. And he was increasing his range. And I used to do that because I heard him do that. Like I heard him tell that story, and I started doing that and really increased my range in singing.
That's a great trick, yeah.
And so just things like that. I mean, and he's just phenomenal. I mean, I love Soundgarden, but I'll tell you what, I love the Audioslave album that he did. Yeah. With the guys from Rage Against the Machine, and some of those songs were so good.
Killing in the Name of.
Yeah.
The Bulls on for the Rage album. Right.
Guerrilla Radio, all those songs, man.
Absolutely.
Great 90s music.
You know, this is a band that, you know, I would say again, didn't start in the 90s, actually started in the early 80s, but were like my top 3 albums of the early 90s was you know, Chili Peppers' Blood Sugar Sex Magic album. Yeah. I mean, that album defined like 90 to like 93 to me. So it was my top 3, definitely. That, Pearl Jam's 10, and Nirvana's Nevermind. Those 3 were my, like, they went with me everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Red Hot Chili Peppers, I love. They were so unique because they did like this. You know, it was like pop and rock and funk, and they did it so well, and it was so different from everything else at the time.
They claim to be punk, and they are definitely have that within them, but they are unique. They are definitely unique. So,
yeah, I like John Frusciante. He's one of my favorite, he's my favorite Chili Peppers guitarist that they had.
Right.
He was a little weird, but but he was like a musical genius, you know, and great guitarist. I like him way better than I think Dave Navarro was their guitarist for a little while as well.
You know, I remember us actually. Seems to be a thing only within pop culture within the last 10 years, but I remember us as early as the late 90s comparing Chad Smith to Will Ferrell.
Right.
You know, even back then. So it was nice to see somebody finally identifying it and actually doing something with it.
I know. So we've been saying that for since like Will Ferrell first started on Saturday Night Live. We're like, that dude looks just like Chad Smith.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's kind of butthurt about it, but
yeah,
Chad Smith. You know, but he, what are you gonna do?
He does look like him.
Yeah. You know, it's like, listen. Yeah, good tunes there. Some really good.
I loved Radiohead was another big one for me.
Radiohead, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, Radiohead was really popular. I'm not a huge Radiohead fan, although I will say I like the song "Creep."
Right.
I like the song "Karma Police." I like some of their songs, but I don't like them as a whole. You know.
Right.
So, OK Computer was a great album.
Right. You know, Beck was another one that, you know, started back then, and he totally different now. I mean, you listen to Beck now, and it didn't sound anything like he did back then.
Yeah. He was kind of he's had a bunch of hits but those first two, you know, Loser and Where It's At, those still today, I mean, you can listen to the radio and hear those songs.
You can.
They're so good, man.
Not to mention, you know, Primus was I was a huge Primus fan, man.
Yeah.
Loved me some Primus.
I don't think a lot of people were Primus fans, but I will say probably a lot of people know Les Claypool. Well, that's not necessarily true. I think most people know Primus mainly from like South Park because they did the theme song to South Park.
Yep.
But Jerry Was a Race Car Driver, that song.
Oh yeah.
I know that song.
I won't mention the name of a couple of them. They were a great band. They really were. They were very unique.
It's funny if you watch the Metallica Behind the Music when they were looking for a bassist to replace Cliff. They were auditioning all these bass players, and they said one of them was Les Claypool, and he came in. You know, he's all like super. He's like super funky and weird, and he does like tapping and stuff, and they were just like, this guy's too good. You know, you're too good. You got your own thing. It's pretty funny.
Let him off easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, there was a lot of, you know, I've got I can't even to delve into the albums I had and names that most people nowadays, you know, unless they were around in the 90s, would have no clue as to who they are. But, you know, just I had like 60 CDs as a teenager, and, you know, anybody you can think of, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you and I probably mostly widely listened to like rock and alternative, but there was a lot of good music that was not rock or alternative. You know, there was some pretty good pop music. Like in the 90s, that's when we saw the beginning of like the boy bands. Well, not the beginning, you know, probably the 80s with New Kids on the Block, but like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. I remember those guys came out, and I was listening to all of this, like, you know, I was listening to like Alice in Chains and you know, bands like that, and all of a sudden they started playing videos from like Backstreet Boys, and I just rolled my eyes and thought, this is so stupid. But then I went to school, and all of these girls are going crazy for Backstreet Boys, and I just was like, there might be something to this. And so, well,
you know, the best marketing magazines tell you to always market to women. Women are 70% of the buying market.
Yeah. And young girls, So, So, but because I could sing, you know, I had two choices. I could say, well, I can keep. And there were a lot of guys that did. They just dogged boy bands, and they were like, you know, oh, this is dumb, and they would say stuff like, this is gay, and I'm like, okay, but I could sing, so I would sing, you know, some of the Backstreet Boys, and I got attention for that, and I kind of use that to my advantage, and I play it on the guitar. Like I can play the whole song on the acoustic guitar and sing, and I'll probably do it sometime. But the song, I Want It That Way. Is that how it goes?
I Want It That Way. Yeah.
You know what song I'm talking about?
I'm not singing it. I'm telling you that much. You better hope they recognize it, because that ain't happening.
Yeah, but I mean, I used to do that in high school, and man, I turned girls' heads with that. They're like, okay.
Oh yeah.
So. But
another obscure band that, you know, I don't even think you listened to, that I loved, was Fugazi.
I've heard Fugazi probably from you and other people, but that's kind of they were definitely like an indie band.
Oh yeah, Waiting Room. They played a song. Waiting Room is still like, you know, that song like brings back like 92, 93 for me, like all the time. So yeah, loved me some Fugazi back in the day.
You know another band that I liked, and
Danzig?
No, not at all, not even a little bit. Is the Refreshments. You remember the Refreshments? They're the ones that sang the song Banditos.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about? And they also did they play the music. I don't think there's any songs, but they do the intro to King of the Hill.
Okay, yeah.
But do you remember the song I'm talking about, Banditos?
I do not remember that song.
That's the song that was like, so give your ID card to the border guard.
I don't remember it.
Oh, man. It was so good.
Were they the ones who sing the intro song to Scrubs, I'm Your Superman? Wasn't that the same band?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. That's a good song, though.
I kid.
Well, I had to think about it because I'm like, maybe they did because that's a good song. But, yeah, Banditos, a lot of people will know. But that's the one that he says, see, I need to make you stop and YouTube it, and then you'll be like, oh, yes, I know this song.
Right.
But such a good one. I need some listeners out there who are listening to this to be like, yes, that is a good song.
Leave in the comments if you know he's saying
like,
that.
James, you need to listen to this song. Sean's right because it's such a good song.
Oh, man.
The Refreshments.
Turning the fans against me. That's horrible.
Nah, not against you. They're here to help you, you know.
Right.
They're here to help you. And who said we have fans? The only people that listen to this podcast are our families.
Both of them.
Is our moms.
Both of them. If your mom asked me to listen to a song, I don't know. I don't know if I can oblige. You know,
my mom texts me every week and says, "How do I get the next podcast?" And I'm like, "Okay, here's a link." So.
Oh my gosh.
Faithful fans. Hey, that's all right. I think. So yeah. Anyway, Banditos.
Right.
The Refreshments. Another is a great one. What's another non-rock, non-alternative 90s song?
What was the Latin band that sang Heaven? I'm trying to remember their names.
Los Lobos.
Yes, Los Lobos.
Yes, Los Lobos.
Love that band. Good. And there was actually another band that covered that did a really good job of it too.
Yeah, it was a Christian band. It was a Christian band. That was
it? What was the cover for that? Because that was incredible.
What was their name? Now of course I can't remember it. No, not the Katinas.
Sandy Patty. That's what it was.
Sandy Patty.
Yes. No, I don't really remember. I just remember that being I loved their cover of it. Yeah. A lot of good bands in the 90s.
I'm asking the Google.
Oh, well, you know. Let's see. Other bands.
Bryan Adams.
I loved Bryan Adams.
He has a song called Heaven, but I guess that's not who you're thinking of.
No, that's different.
Yeah, but how about the what was the song he did for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves? Man, that song was awesome. I still love
Everything I do it for you, I think is the name of the song. He had the best album in the early 90s. It's called So Far So Good. And it was like every song he ever did in the 80s and 90s, and it was like incredible, a great album. It did not ever, however, have the song, the song with him and Sting, and what's that guy's name? I'm going to get so much hate mail for this. both of our moms are going to write me. Who's the guy?
Salvador, by the way, is the one that did.
Okay, Salvador is the band, right?
Right. So what are you wanting to know? You're talking about the Police?
Well, no, I know. We already said Sting.
Oh. I wasn't listening.
It was actually the theme song for.
What was it?
Shut up.
It was actually because I was looking up Salvador. Okay, so the question is the Sting song.
It was actually a Sting song he did. It was Bryan Adams, Sting, and trying to remember the guy's name. They did the cover song for the Three Musketeers movie. and even my wife is going to beat me for this because the guy's name is like slipping my brain. But it was Rod Stewart, and the three of them did a cover for the song, and it was a single. And you can find it on YouTube, but it's hard to come by, and it's actually a fantastic song.
All for Love.
All for Love. Yes, I am a huge Bryan Adams fan. I like Sting too. I'm not going to lie. So, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about the 90s.
Well, fun fact about Sting, going back to last week's. Is
it fun?
Last week's podcast, I spent probably too much time talking about the movie Dune, in which Sting plays a character in that. He has a role in that movie. So
I heard that. Yes, I actually got scolded by a friend of mine, John, who listens to the podcast. He was like, he is like so much like.
We got to get John
so much
on here.
Smart. We do. He's actually really good. He knew way more about our movies than we did. Let's put it that way.
I don't even know him, and I want to have him on the podcast. So
he was like, you need to tell Shaun that if he's going to talk about this movie, he left out so and so and so and so and so and so, and you, sir, you left out so and so and so. So I'm like, wow, you have definitely got to be on the show. So
we need to have him on.
Mr. John will be on the show at some point.
Yeah,
we will have him.
What we can do here, I have a great idea. We should have him on at the end of every month, and he can
to tell us what we did wrong. A whole show of how we screwed up the month before.
Yeah, he could just come on and just tell us everything that we missed for the whole month, and just be like,
oh
okay,
my gosh,
I have a list here, and I'm going to go through all of the things that you guys got wrong.
It's funny. I was like, I'm going to call him and tell him to start taking notes, but I got news for you. He already is taking notes. I didn't even tell him to, and he's already doing it. So I'll make sure to tell him every month he has to take notes, and at the end of the month, John will be on the show.
All right,
now,
John.
I won't lie to you. It probably won't be this month because I am going on vacation for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna see you in that vacation.
Yeah, you're gonna join me, and we're gonna enjoy some fantastic beef jerky I'm bringing from the Sunshine State of California.
Nice.
So
we're gonna do something. We're gonna probably do a live podcast together
from North Carolina, where we're going to be. We're actually going to be in the swank little town of Franklin, North Carolina.
Franklin.
So
yes,
absolutely.
So look out for that. That's exciting.
That's right. And John, because I know he's listening to this podcast, you are going to be on the shows from now on at the end of the month telling us what we did wrong.
Exactly.
That's a fantastic idea.
We welcome it.
Yeah, we do.
Because, the bottom line
we embrace our own ignorance.
The reality is we don't know everything. As a matter of fact, we don't know most things.
We don't even pretend to know what we like. We just talk about things that happened, and sometimes we get all the poignant points.
There's no reason why we should have a podcast.
No, right. No. People listen to us because I guess reruns of Matlock aren't on anymore.
Well,
so it'll be good. It'll be good.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
So we need to wrap up 90s music. So
don't we have a contest that we have to?
We do have a contest. We do have a contest. We need to draw our winner of our snack chest care package giveaway.
Absolutely.
And so those who have endured this monstrosity of an episode will get to hear who won. That's
right. So we've got all the names put together, and we actually have Google has a link to, I don't know if it's theirs, but they have a link to a website where you can actually put all the names in, and then it puts it on a big wheel, and it spins it for you and draws a winner. And that's what we're going to be doing. Shaun's going to be handling that.
Yep.
So you have to let us know how it goes, Shaun.
So we've got 4 people who did everything they were supposed to do, and we are going to select a winner, and they're going to win this immaculate prize.
It's 40 snacks.
40 snacks. And
free snacks delivered to their door. Who doesn't want that?
Right. And so I say we spin this wheel. Are you ready?
Do it. All right. Spin the wheel.
Okay, I got to find
Spin the wheel. Spin.
I'm going to shuffle, and then we're going to spin the... Here we go.
Wheel. Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. All right. Who won?
And we have a winner.
Is it still spinning? Who's the winner?
We have a winner. This has got to be one of your friends.
Okay.
By the name of Hank Parker.
Oh, Hank Parker won.
Hank Parker.
Good. Let's congratulate Hank Parker. Woo!
All
yeah,
right.
Hank. Yeah, I got to tell you, Hank is a fan of snacks. I'm not going to lie to you. He is. He will enjoy this.
He has a nickname, Admiral Snack Bar.
Admiral Snack Bar. That is correct.
I met Hank one time.
And by the way, the man makes a damn fine root beer. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Makes his own root beer. Makes his own root beer from scratch.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was his. We went to a local restaurant and they brought out a bottle of Hank's root beer. And I messaged him. I said, sir, you make a damn fine root beer. And he said, you are a gentleman, sir. And I agreed, and we enjoyed it. Great root beer. I actually buy it locally now. If you can get a hold of a bottle of Hank's root beer.
That is that Hank?
Do it.
He's that Hank?
Well, he says he is. I'm going with it.
All right. Well, congratulations, Hank, on winning.
Congratulations, Hank.
The snack chest care package with 40 snacks in it.
That is correct.
Now, here's the deal. We're going to send this thing to you. And
That's right,
we
Hank.
want pictures.
We do want pictures. We have people who think that we have a contest and that we don't give away what we say we give away. We do.
I want like a you know, in a bathtub surrounded by all the snacks, kind of, you know.
That would be great. but please wear a swimsuit, Hank. Please wear a swimsuit.
Yeah.
So, bathtub shot of Hank bathing in his snacks. We will love that. Yeah. And I got to tell you, Hank would do that.
Hank would do that
for us.
He's that kind of guy.
He would. You know, Hank's the guy you invite to the party because he's going to surprise you. He's got some funny anecdotes.
Yes, he does.
So I guess that wraps another show, man.
That is another episode. You know, 90s music, greatest music ever, greatest decade for music ever. And if you disagree with me, I want to hear about it. I want some comments. I want something in the mailbag that I want you to tell me off about how 90s music is not the greatest music ever. I want to hear about it.
And we would have done mailbag this week, but nobody sent us mail. So make sure you send mail. That's important. We got to get with you. We got to talk about these things and how you feel about them because that's important too. So,
but how can they get a hold of us if they want to?
Tell us, Sean. How do they get a hold of us?
Well, see, now I have to pull it up. I wasn't prepared for that. I was hoping you had it pulled up. Hold on, I will tell you. I have a list.
Yes.
Right here. I have to go back in my messages to the link to it.
Well,
here we go. So here are the various ways that you can ask us a question.
That's right.
You through Facebook.
That's correct.
That is facebook.com/StepBroShow. Instagram, it's the Step Bro Show on Instagram. Twitter, you know, I don't think we've got Twitter set up yet because I tried to do something and we'll have to scratch that one for this week.
I'll get that working next week. I apologize if it's not working.
So right now we've got Facebook, Instagram, and you can email us at the Step Bro Shows. There's an S on the end of Step Bro Show. The Step Bro Shows at gmail.com. And if you have a question for us, if you want to tell us off about our musical choices, if you want to correct us, if you want to just tell us how much you love us.
We accept all things.
Yeah,
like
and if you have a topic that you would like us to tackle.
Yes.
You know, this is the way to do it to get a hold of us. So
that is great. We'll consider any topics you may request. It will be considered. Yeah. And if we pick your topic, then you might get something. You might get a little surprise from the Step Bro Show.
From the Step Bro Show.
That is correct.
All
right. That's another show, buddy.
One more in the bag.
That's right.
The Walmart bag.
The Walmart bag.
All right. Next week, we'll see you guys.
See you then.
Bye.